Hello and welcome to Nintendo Review episode 23. How you doing, guys? For some reason I feel really tired. I'm moving house. I'm in the middle now. I'm finally moving house and I feel a bit exhausted. So I think you guys need to provide the energy today. Can you provide the energy? Greg, you look energetic actually.
I'm just recently a father for a second time, so energy's out the window.
Oh, Lee, it's all on your shoulders. Save the podcast before it's begun.
Well, I'm looking behind you, Darren. You've got a lot of stuff to pack away, yeah? Your shelves are still full.
To be fair, that is just the one shelf in the. This is great podcast content, but I'm going to spin my camera around.
A lot of boxes,
can you see?
Folded boxes that haven't been opened yet, so you can put some more stuff in boxes. Full boxes. That is jammed. Yeah, that's a jammed room, Darren. How did you fit in there?
That's the only. I mean, this is one of a few. It's all right. We can pick up the key. We can pick up the keys on Friday. We're going to move in, but we're not actually going to move in properly until next week. So we've got a week of being able to do it a little bit slower rather than one mad kind of dash. It's just a bit crazy, with new baby, moving house, sorting stuff out, and playing loads of games, or not enough games actually. As always, we're just going to get straight into the news. So there was a dropped announcement yesterday. I was on Twitter and I saw Football Manager out of the blue. They did this last year. I don't know if you remember. They did exactly the same thing last year. They just went, it's out now on the eShop. There it is. I'm guessing, Lee, you don't care about this. Greg, surely this interests you.
I think we probably discussed before. Football Manager games bore me to tears. Love football stuff. Like, my brother would be really into it. He loves the old Championship Manager games, but I purposely haven't told him that this is out yet because I know he'll just go straight onto eShop and download it, blow money on it, and end up hating it. But he'll find out when he listens to the podcast. So,
well, that it's not very good.
Quick, let's delete this part.
Why don't you want him to buy it?
I actually don't know how good it is. I can't even remember what the previous version's like, but I'm assuming this one's pretty similar.
Well,
I don't think you were particularly glowing about the last one.
No, so basically, so I got a code last year and play. I was really excited about it. So I don't know if you know, but Football Manager is the old Championship Manager. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And there are 3 different versions of this game now. There is Football Manager, which is the main sort of PC and Mac version, the big fully fledged version of it. Then when iPhones became popular, they released something called Football Manager Mobile, which was a sort of a stripped down version of Football Manager, and I loved that. So basically, I used to play a lot of Championship Manager and a lot of Football Manager. I mean, insane amounts of time. They were incredibly addictive games, and it got to a stage in life when I was starting my career, and I was just like, this is going to compromise the rest of my life if I keep playing this game. So I decided to not buy it, and not play Football Manager anymore, and give it up. Went cold turkey, just did it. And then a few years ago, I decided to buy Football Manager on the mobile, and I had like a simpler version of it. I hadn't played it for a long time, and I played it, and it was amazing. And for me, because I hadn't been kept up to date, it didn't feel like a simplified version of it. In fact, it was probably more evolved than the last version I played on the Mac, on the PC. So for me, it felt great. It was like, oh, this is amazing. It had like the little 2D sort of icons kind of on the highlights and stuff, which, I think I've had that version actually. But it felt like an amazing version of it on my phone, easy to play. It was perfect. I loved it. And then I knew that they released Football Manager Touch. And this was like an in-between version of it. So this was released, this is for tablet, this is for the iPad basically. So it's basically in between the mobile version and the main fully fledged version, but it's closer to the fully fledged version. Basically, it's sort of like the fully fledged version made for tablets. I think it's only on the iPad actually. Made for the iPad. And I'd never played it. It was like almost full, like 30 odd quid for an iPad app. It's kind of it was a bit like, it's a lot of money. I'm spending far longer on this than I anticipated. I'm not going to lie. But this people may not know. And then they announced we're going to release Football Manager for the Switch last year. There was rumours that they were going to do it, and then they said it's out now, and I was really excited. I was like, brilliant! It's going to be Football Manager Mobile. It's going to be amazing. Blah blah blah. And it wasn't. It was Football Manager Touch. So they've released the sort of semi-full version of the game, and I'd never played it, but I played it last year on the Switch, and I really didn't like it.
Why?
Why? Primarily because it's really clumsy to control. It's not. It's clearly. It just felt like they've got the. It just felt a bit too big for the Switch. So the touch controls didn't work. There was far too many menus in menu. Like imagine with the mouse, or I don't know, it would work. Even though it's not. Even though it is for. I think it's built for iPad and stuff like that. But it just felt really clumsy to navigate, and the joysticks didn't quite work that well. They didn't, the kind of controls weren't repurposed intuitively enough. It just felt really awful to control. So you'd be going through, and just weird things like there'd be like screens that would be slightly too big for the Switch screen. So you just have to scroll a little bit. It's like a fraction. You just think if it was redesigned a little bit, so it's all on one screen. You can just tap there. Do it felt. It felt a bit lazy, actually. It felt like it just slapped it on, and it wasn't quite right for the Switch. This new version may have fixed that, and it may be amazing. I don't know, but I really didn't like it, so I didn't play it. And obviously, this version is the same one, so it's like 30 quid expensive. No, sorry, go on, Lee.
And they've stealth dropped it, so it doesn't give much hope that they have actually gone and fixed a lot of it if they're not mentioned in this game before it's even out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd imagine it's exactly the same. They've just kind of dropped the iPad version onto the Switch again. But I think it sold pretty well. It was quite high up in the charts for quite a while on the Switch, and it's a kind of a perfect platform, and it's not out on any of the other consoles. So it's a bit of in some ways, sort of like Civilization. It's a bit of a coup for the Switch in some regards, and like a really successful football manager game only available on console on the Switch, which is portable and you can play on telly. In some ways, it's amazing. If I gave it more time, I may have ended up loving it. I don't know, but there was a massive barrier with the controls, like the opposite of Civilization, where the controls, like they've thought of everything. It feels perfect the way it controls and the buttons, and it feels amazing. That kind of move from. Feels good. This just doesn't. So, but it's out. It's great that it's still there, and we'll see what people think of it as it goes on.
Quick, just to make it a bit longer, a quick adage is that do you remember that 3DS game called Nintendo Pocket Football Club?
Yes.
I certainly do.
Yeah, that was great stuff, Alan. I'd love to see that on the Switch.
Yeah, I actually considered that one a few times, and I just never went for it.
You never played it?
No, it's because like those types of games usually sort of like they don't really do it for me, so that's what sort of held me back. It looked okay. Like I thought it was a lot more simplified than
very simplified. Yeah, very easy to follow, but it's got that strategy element, and it played well. You had to work your way up through.
It was good
leagues.
fun. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Same with Pocket Card Jockey, kind of reminds me of that. I loved that game. Solitaire and horse racing.
Yeah, played the demo. Didn't intrigue me enough.
I loved it.
I never really played Solitaire.
Greg. The never-ending surprises of Greg. But yeah, so but there's some more new announcements this week, and a few more sort of quite stealthy, not necessarily literal stealth, but like stuff coming out sooner than you anticipate. So the first one, and it's not a massive surprise, but they've released a trailer for the new Lego film, the sequel, and at the same time they announced the game as well. So that's coming for the Switch, and also a game called Everspace. They just announced it's getting released for the Switch. It's coming out in 2 weeks' time, and this was massive a few years ago, was it? I don't know if I'm getting it confused, but was this massive a few years ago on PC?
That's a good question.
Unless I'm thinking of EverQuest and just getting really good, but I'm sure a space version of it. But anyway, it's done. And Lee, I guess you can't talk about it, but you've actually been playing it, haven't you?
I have. It's embargoed. I literally got the review copy this morning via email, and I plugged it in. It's quite a small download. It only took about 30 minutes to download, so I'm shocked by that because it's using the Unreal 4 engine, and it looks, when you load it up first of all, it looks, everything is beautifully shaded, and it feels like you are in space. I can't say much more than that. It's very...
Can you give us a noise reaction? Just a noise.
Well, it's too early. It's I still haven't even got the grips with the movement of the ship, but there's a lot going on. That's all I can say.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll hear about that. But anyway, that's coming out in a couple of weeks, which is good because in a couple, in a couple of weeks, we'll all be really desperate for something to play, won't we? 4 days after the 7th. Don't they realise we'll still be busy playing the Sega Mega Drive collection? Fools. But actually, speaking of a game that is coming out a few days before Everspace, Super Smash Bros., they announced that it's the best pre-selling game on the Switch and best Smash Bros. of all time. It's obviously a bit cheating because obviously you can pre-download it on the Switch and you can pre-download previous versions. It's a bit of a cheat, but still good news. And it's obviously pre-sold better than Pokemon. And at the same time, they've also announced some news that Pokemon sold 3 million copies in the first week or weekend or whatever. So sort of like merging both news together. Obviously amazing. It's not surprising. We all knew it. Is this kind of better than you guys anticipated? With Pokemon selling 3 million, I want to know your predictions for Smash in the first week. And also, a third point I want you guys to talk about feeds into the kind of forecast of Nintendo selling 20 million units, leading up to 38 million units total, especially after analysts have just come out and said they're going to reach 35. I want to know your updated predictions on that. So, Lee, you go first. It's a lot of questions.
I'm shocked by that analyst suggestion. They're going to sell 35. That's by obviously the fiscal year. So my 25 million is not looking so ridiculous anymore.
No, sorry, maybe I didn't explain it very well.
No.
Your 25 million is still looking a little bit ridiculous.
I'm sticking with the 25 million.
Total. So if they sold 20 million, that would be 38 million total. So they're predicting they're going to sell 17 million.
70 million. Okay, I'm sticking with my 25 then. Okay, just to be outrageous.
I said 22, didn't I? 21. Greg, you weren't here that week. What's your prediction on Switch sales this year? Do you know how many they sold in the first 6 months? 8.
8 million, yeah.
In the first 6 months. So what can they sell in the second 6 months, which includes Mario Party, Civilization, and
I think
and
they
Everspace.
Will pretty much hit exactly 20.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think they've probably banged it on. But this news in particular, Smash Brothers, it's obviously really good. Did you expect Pokemon to sell this well? Greg, did you expect Pokemon to sell 3 million in a week? Is that, or do you not care?
Well, analysing sales figures and stuff, generally I'm not really that bothered. And I'm not even sure what would be classified good for a Pokemon game, because I'm not really sure. Like, obviously the Pokemon games are massive, but I don't know how much they sell on the 3DS and stuff. But that seems like a pretty good start to me for a game that sort of seemed like a bit of a simplified sort of entry level Pokemon for a lot of people.
Spin-off in essence.
Yeah. Pretty solid.
I think it's higher than spin-offs, any spin-off that there's been. I think it was less than Ultra Moon and things like that. I think that's Sun and Moon, which I think was just over 4 million. But that was on a install base of 50 million, 40 million or whatever, 50 million. So it's not quite as good as the mainline entry, but for a spin-off it's incredible. And I think for this early in the Switch's life it's incredible. And I think it's only going to continue to sell as well. But ultimately it's really good. What do you think Smash is going to do the first week, Lee? How many is he going to do?
If this Pokemon game has done 3 million in 3 days worldwide, Smash is going to do 5.
Greg, what's your... have you got any advances on 5?
I will go 4.
5.1. Oh, 4.
Oh, okay, I'll play it safe and say 6, but I think it'll be around 7 or 8 million. I think easily over half the people who own a Switch easily are going to buy Smash.
And it's going to sell new Switches, of course.
And it's going to sell new Switches. So we'll see. Good, fun little game. But yeah, so good news. More new game announcements. Not an announcement, but it pretty much is, I think. So obviously everybody will know this, but there's a Zelda concert in Japan, and Enuma, Skyward Sword music, and Enuma was basically said, we know what you're thinking, you want Skyward Sword on the Switch, right? So he's either a dickhead, or they're releasing Skyward Sword on Switch. Which one do you think it is?
Are they necessarily mutually exclusive?
Well, he can be both.
No, I think Skyward Sword XD is pretty much nailed on to come out at some point, and since that's one of the best Zelda games ever made, then that's great news.
Oh boy! But do you think he's alluding that this is coming out next year?
Yes. I wouldn't even be surprised. The Game Awards are coming up next week.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we got a wee glimpse of it.
And they mentioned that they're going to have 10 new unannounced games will be revealed at the Game Awards. That could be one of them, yeah.
Now, to be honest, on a bit of a tangent, I'm expecting Metroid Prime 4 to be shown. I think we'll see that. And going from last year where they showed Bayonetta 3 and also that 1 and 2 were coming to the Switch as well, I have a feeling that they'll go that way again and show us Metroid Prime 4, but also Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, hopefully.
I like your thinking.
But if they don't have that, if that's just dreaming, then I wouldn't be surprised if the second announcement was that Skyward Sword HD is coming.
Do you know the only way that I would buy Skyward Sword HD is if they bundled it in now with all the other HD remakes. So if we got one cartridge, we got Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess. I know, I'm dreaming. Twilight Princess HD and Skyward Sword HD. And because it's a Triforce, 3 games. Boom! There you go. Have that for next year. 3 HD.
So the company that charged us full price for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze are going to bundle in 15
Deluxe.
Zeldas. Yeah, and Super Mario Deluxe for 50 quid as well. Jokers. Pre-ordered it though.
On the subject of Zelda, it's like does it irritate anybody else that it only seems to be Zelda that they keep giving the revamp treatment to, and they just forget about all the other franchises?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's always Zelda.
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. Yeah, come on, do the others. Well, I got one for you. But would you prefer a Metroid Prime remake or Metroid Prime Trilogy port? Like a new Metroid Prime built from the ground up.
That's Metroid Prime 4 though, isn't it?
Well, probably.
Personally, I really want to play the first game again as it is, so they just clean up the graphics a wee bit. I'm down with that. Like, even if it was just the first game port, if it wasn't the whole trilogy, I'd be absolutely fine with that, because I think that's the best one of the 3.
Okay, fair enough. I can't remember what it was on about now. Oh, Game Awards, was we? Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword. No, what's going on. So Greg has obviously proclaimed it to be one of the best Zelda games there is. I wouldn't object to that. It's probably in the top half, if that's, as one of the best. Lower top half. Lower mid, like Liverpool. Lee, you'll only buy if it's bundled with 14 other Zelda games. Why? What's wrong with Skyward? Did you not like it? What's your opinions on Skyward Sword?
I played Skyward Sword in Japanese. So one, I didn't know what was going on at certain points. So if that's an argument for me to play it again, yes. And I liked some of the motion controls when you fly in a beetle and all that. But, I don't know, the imprisoned, you fight him 3 times. And there were elements in it which I'm thinking, yes, I would like to see this again, but I would never want to do that again. The running and tiring your stamina, runs out far too quickly, little niggles, the small structure. After playing Breath of the Wild and having this massive open world, to go back to Skyward Sword in these small little enclosed areas, I don't think that would sit with me well either. I didn't like it the first time I played through it. So if I have to play through it again, no, not for me.
I'd be really excited about it. I thought the art style was stunning.
True.
That in HD would be beautiful. I loved all the motion controls, personally. I like the story focus.
They worked for the most part. They did work for the most part. I know people had more trouble with the motion controls than I did, but even now and again, you'd swing just a little bit too hard, and it'd go off on a funny tangent, and you'd have to recalibrate and center, and too niggly.
We'll see what happens, but it's blatantly coming. Would Greg, as a lover of the game, how devastated would you be if they just made it traditional controls?
Deeply. As long as there's an option for motion controls. I honestly don't know how they could possibly translate it the way it is to play traditionally. Like, you can talk about analog stick to replace it and stuff, but honestly I just don't think it would work. So
it'd have to be like context sensitive hitting. If you press A, and Link will automatically slash in that direction, which would obviously take the whole point of the game away from it.
That's what was good about it. That's what was good about it. Yeah, they're not going to do it with the Joy-Cons and stuff.
Yeah, you need that motion, don't you?
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. We'll see what happens next week or whatever. But yeah, I think it's definitely coming next year. And the next game I thought was already announced, but tell me if I'm wrong, is Outrun coming out as part of the Sega Ages line. That was already announced, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah. They kind of announced it, but never give a date.
Okay, so now it's just got... So why are we talking about it? Why is it in the news? I think it's in the news because you wanted to taunt Greg, because this is another game Greg doesn't like. No, I'm not. I'm the biggest anti-Sega person. And I like Sega, I think they're good, but I'm the one who's usually critical of them. But even I think Outrun is great. Greg, what's your problem with Outrun?
It's not that I don't like it at all. Like, it's fine. It's just, like, I never played it back whenever it was, like, just out or whatever. And, like, everybody said, oh, Outrun's amazing. And then I played it. It was fine. It was okay. Like, didn't really get the hype.
I mean, fair enough.
It still runs amazing, doesn't it, Darren?
Yeah, it was great. I got the 3D Classics version. Loved it. They've got some nice updates as well. This has got all those updates on that. This is 60 frames per second on the Switch version. I think I'll probably rebuy it. What is it, $5.99? I'll play it again. I prefer this in Sonic.
See, I already have Sorry, I already have Outrun 3D, same as you, so
Yeah.
if I ever somehow get the urge to go back and play it, like, it's there.
If you don't like it, then I'll probably pick it up. But you was on about a game before we was recording, Lee. The Outrun ripoff, basically, that's just come out for the Switch. It's been getting really good reviews.
It has been. I think Nintendo Life have already given it 9 out of 10. It's called Horizon Chase. It looks vast, you know, and there's a lot more to do. Obviously, Outrun is basic in its kind of structure. This seems to have at least 10 cities with, I forgot how many tracks it is. It's 100 tracks. There's a lot of tracks on there. There might even be 40 cities from what I can remember. And then it's adding this playground mode in. So you got online challenges coming in, and they'll be updated. It's something that Mario Kart needs to do, and this game is doing it. Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's this crosshouse between low polygon and retro kind of style polygon graphics, but in a modern twist to it. It looks good. It runs 60 frames per second. Apparently, it's looking like a nice addition. So if I had to pick between Outrun and this one, I think Horizon Chase might get my money.
Yeah, I've got a Horizon. I've played it on the iPad, and it's great. It's a very, very good game. But this game's like $17.99 on the Switch.
Oh, is it?
And bar that playground mode, is there anything else in it? I'd buy it if there's loads of new stuff into it, but if it's the same game, I don't understand why I'd...
It's practically the same game as far as I read, apart from that playground mode.
Oh, really? I mean, that sounds a bit harsh to charge that much money. I would say if it comes down in price, get it, because it is really good. It is a really good game, but that price...
Just looking at it on YouTube there now, it does remind me a wee bit of Outrun 2006, which was
Does
actually...
that appeal to you more? Or?
Yeah, I that was an Outrun game I did actually really like.
It is brilliant. It's brilliant. It's annoying that the multiplayer isn't online. That could have tempted me. That could have maybe get this version. For some reason, I was looking at the iPad price. $2.99.
Switch tax.
Yeah, well, that is some Switch tax.
When you were talking about the starting price there, actually, for a while on the Switch, I was interested in getting the Neo Turf Masters, the golf game from the Neo Geo.
Neo Geo, yeah.
But I seen it on offer on the Androids this week for like just over £1. So I actually just went for that one instead, and it's okay. I don't regret not buying it on the Switch.
Is Neo Turf Masters? That was in the arcade as well, wasn't it?
Quite possibly.
Yeah. Rings a bell.
Never played it before.
And the last bit of news is all of our number one game of the year, which you'll find out when we do our own top 10 of the year later on, is Mario Tennis. There's another update. They've announced 3 new characters. The Luma. And Greg Hughes was like, underwhelming characters. I thought these are great characters. So who was it? There was Luma, Pauline, which is great, and who's the third one?
Wait there. Why can't I remember off the top of my head? Oh, Boom Boom. Boom Boom. Well done, Greg.
Yeah, Boom Boom. So they come in January, February, March, and obviously we're getting Shy Guy and Petey Piranha in December as well. It's brilliant. Keep it coming. But they've also announced a few changes to the game. They've announced a new sort of scoring format, ABCD format, whatever. Not bothered about that. The exciting thing is they've announced the next challenge mode, the online mission mode, which is Yoshi's Ring Shot. So we saw that in the original trailer. I don't know if you remember, but they're kind of bashing it through things. We've played Ring Shot and Mario Tennis games many times. What's interesting is that the Boo Hunt mode is still in the game. That's just gone straight into swing mode. So that's nice that these modes, which some would argue should have been there from the beginning, are actually getting put back into the game after these online mission modes. And playing through that, you will get different coloured Yoshis as well. So that's amazing. I'm very much looking forward to that. I hope it's a lot better than Boo Hunt. A couple of little tweaks that are a little bit more exciting is one of them is in the game. Obviously, you can turn hazards on and off. If you turn the hazard off on the ship stage, the mast stays there, and that is the hazard on that stage. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, they've taken it out, so they've fixed that one. So the hazard's gone on the boat stage, and the most exciting news, and this is an incredible news, slightly over the top, but it's very good news, is that there's now doubles tournament mode. So you can play doubles. Even better, when I first heard it, I thought it was great, but I thought they're going to make us play. You can only do it locally. You can only do a tournament if you're together. But no, that's not true. You can link up with friends and enter a tournament, and you can even link up with a random person and enter the tournament as well. So I think this is amazing news. So I'm looking forward to getting on with you guys and then doing those tournaments, because I still play the tournaments quite a lot. I love the game. I think it's incredible. So this is brilliant that it's in there. Are you guys excited about doubles tournaments?
Yes. Like, I haven't played the game that much in recent weeks because I've kind of been looking for an excuse to come back into it, because we've been waiting. Like, that Boo challenge has been going on for a lot longer than they said it was going to. So the fact that the Yoshi one's coming now like that's a good excuse to get the game back on and play it, but have all these extra things as well, and obviously the new characters coming too. I can see myself playing it quite a bit over the next few months. On the characters though, I will say, like, my disappointment kind of just stems from the fact that Smash Brothers is coming soon, and you see all these the hype for crazy characters, then it's just like characters you're sort of familiar with, kinda. But Luma means Super Mario Galaxy HD's coming, so
is that what that means?
Is that another one for the Game Awards?
All 10 new announcements are for Switch. I think we all know that's not going to be the case. What about you, Lee? Can this get you back into Mario Tennis?
Not really. Yes, I'll drop in like I always do anyway. I drop in now and again. You know, when the mood takes me, I'll pop on a tournament. I'll try some local stuff. I hate the swing mode. That is broken.
Is it?
Yeah, in Boo Hunt, whenever I was playing, sometimes as I'm holding it on the right-hand side or left-hand side, it would detect that I was doing it the opposite side, and my character would be holding a right-handed racket when I was doing a backhand, and then when you swing, because you're in the wrong direction, it just all over the place. They couldn't get on with swing mode at all. But at least this Yoshi ring mode, I will get some use out of it with that, definitely.
What I will say is, the Boo Hunt isn't quite swing mode.
Yeah,
it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same controls. Yeah, it wasn't quite the same controls. I've not played swing mode that much. I play with Hugo, so I usually control it through him. Like, I'm holding him and showing him how to do the strokes. It seems amazing to me, and I actually want to give it a proper go. I've not given it a proper go. I don't know if you have, and it is still pretty broken. But it seems great to me, like the little drop shots and you can move the character as well. So it seems like an advanced Wii Sports tennis to me. But I've not actually played it properly. Have any of you two?
Not really, just now and again. I'm not sure it does actually feel quite as satisfying as like Wii Sports Tennis. Like you, during the Boo one, like occasionally, like at work most of the time for me, it always irritated me when people ignored the fact that the Boo would always rise up after like every third swing, and like nobody seemed to catch on to that anytime I was playing, so I was the only one hitting it. And I mean, usually it worked fine, but occasionally there were some irritations with that. But I will say, like, in terms of like the tournaments and stuff online, like Nintendo in the Discord has been ripping into it over the last couple of days.
Basically because he's not good enough.
But yeah, basically, like I've honestly, like, anytime I've sort of like tried to dip into it, I've been finding it really difficult to get a game.
Yeah, I play it a lot. It is hard to get a game, and actually the standard is ridiculous. He is right, the standard is mad. But I don't blame the game for that. People are amazing at it. Okay, that's like every online game.
So do you think this new classification by the ranks A, B, C, D is going to sort any of that out? I just thought that, yeah, you know, the higher tier ones will have plenty of players because they're the ones that are online all the time. The lower tiers, you just won't be able to find a match.
Yeah, I don't think it'll fix it all. It's weird because it sold so well, but it doesn't seem to have a massive online community. And I see the same people on there as well. I play against the same people. Still love it, but that's why it's always best to play with mates anyway. So I'm always up for some tennis. Definitely up for some doubles tennis. And what's good is that when the new tournaments kick on and they've got the new characters, I think it's a great idea that they did introducing the characters alongside the tournaments. It's really vibrant for a good week or so when everyone's kind of playing and getting the characters, and I presume the same for the doubles tournaments. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that as well. And that's it for the news. So now it's what we've been playing. Greg, I've got no idea what you've been playing, and I want to know. Tell me. Excite me.
And I want to start with Lee, because you started with me last week, so we'll mix it up.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Translation, Greg's has not been playing anything, and he's got no idea what he's talking about. Okay then, Lee. Your game is called Rage in Peace.
Oh,
Was it enraging?
What a beauty it is. It's a side-scrolling platformer. They call it an adventure game. There's nothing adventurous about it, believe me. I don't know where the adventure comes from. It's just a platform game. Nice story. It starts off, there's a beautiful cartoon kind of esque cutscenes in there, and it looks vibrant, colourful. The protagonist is a guy called Timmy Mallon, who's seemingly got this marshmallow for a head. And he's got these red lines coming down his eyes as if he's crying blood. And he works in an office, just a normal office guy whose dream and ambition in life is to die in his bed quietly and peacefully while he's sleeping. Unfortunately for Timmy, the Grim Reaper, sorry Timmy, you're not going to have your dream come true today. The Grim Reaper comes into his office and says, "You're going to die today, Timmy, and you're going to have your head cut off. You're going to be decapitated to death." Timmy's like, "Oh, I don't want to die." So the whole premise of the game is to make it through each level alive while the Grim Reaper's minions are trying to kill you. And
sounds amazing.
They're really successful at killing you. The amount of times you're going to die in this game, rage is right, peace is not. So you do rage a lot, and there's no peace to be seen at all. Just for an example, you start level 1, and you start in the office, and you talk to the Grim Reaper, and he goes, "Off you go." Right, so you walk to the left, to the right, because it's a left to scroll to right most of the time. Sometimes you scroll up, sometimes you scroll down, left and right. So you're going from left to right, you get to a puddle. You know, run through the puddle. The puddle all of a sudden turns into ice shards, and bang, you're dead. An invisible hazard. So, right, okay, one the wiser. I walk to this invisible hazard in the puddle and jump over it. I walk to the next screen. It's kind of scrolling. It's not individual screens, so it scrolls to the next part. There's a slightly longer puddle. Thinking, slightly longer puddle, longer jump. Okay, I'll jump. As you jump that second puddle, a spiked ball comes down from the light fixture and decapitates you. It's like, but you just taught me that puddles have spikes in them, and you instantly, after the second death, you know that you don't know where the hazards are. They just insidiously appear from anywhere and everything. So you jump over a puddle one time, then you run through a puddle the next time, a shark jumps out of a puddle another time. The amazing way is the amount of deaths you can have. If you walked from left to right to the first section, it would take you 20 seconds. But it'll take you at least 10 minutes to work out exactly where each trap is, how to get past that trap, and I can guarantee you that every time you come to a new trap, it's going to have you, and then you go back to the beginning of that section. So you're just constantly one trap, boom, the second trap gets you. Start again. First trap, get past the second trap, third trap gets you, bang. And then you're constantly just dying on the next trap, going back and seeing then if you can memorize where all these invisible traps are to get to the next section. And then it gets harder and harder and harder. And there are sections with moving platforms, and you're in this pyramid later. You're standing on a moving platform, and these spears come out at a rocket speed. And if you're not jumping at the right time, if you jump too high, you get decapitated because one hits you from above. You don't jump, you get one in the belly. You got to jump at the right height, at the right time, and then dodge things which are coming in to the left, to the right. It's just an observance in memory and nothing else.
But did you like it? It sounds horrifying.
It is rage-inducing. It's so frustrating. However, there are elements when you do one level and you think, right, I'm in there and I jump this. If I could have seen what was going to kill me beforehand, and then I could platform my way around it, there's a nice flow and a nice structure to some of the traps they've set up. It's just, you've made them invisible. So I can't see that until I died 30 times on that little section. And just to infuriate you, infuriate me even more, it feels nice. It jumps nice. There's a double jump. You learn extra moves like speed running. So there's these kind of Metroid-esque power-ups that you get as you progress through the story. They don't happen often enough, but there's enough of them to keep you interested. And it's just the infuriation of dying so much. And there's 87 different ways to die. And you get an achievement for dying in those 87 different ways. You can have a shark jumping out of a puddle, a light fixture just falls from the ceiling for no reason and squashes you flat, falling statues, bamboo spikes. For no reason, a rowing man called Stephen comes flying by and decapitates you with his oar. So if you can get all 87, you get achievements.
Did you get it?
No, not that one. Only knows why I didn't die. There must be a single trap I ran past, and that's the only way you can die from that one. There's also achievements for speedruns, which are virtually impossible unless you play the level so many times you know it inside out. And there's also achievements for completing a level without dying once. Whoever can do that, well, good on them. They've obviously got too much time on their hands. 5 levels, everything's about memory, and that's all I can say about it. Rage-inducing. I think my audio-video review ended with the word rage, and that's all it felt.
Greg, are you going to pick it up?
Just writing it down here. No thanks.
Amazing.
Sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like everything I hate about video games, which actually is quite relevant to our topic of the week, but we'll get onto that in a bit. I'm a little bit more positive about what I've been playing this week. I love puzzle games. It's a bit like confession, isn't it? I do love puzzle games, and I love stuff like Sudoku and Picross and stuff like that. I've chatted about them before, and I've been dying for a Sudoku game on the Switch for a long, long, long time. Well, not that long. It's only been out 18 months or whatever. But I want a Sudoku game. It's perfect. It's touchscreen. I loved the Sudoku on the brain training games. That probably still is the best sort of digital Sudoku that I've ever played. Still is, unfortunately, to this day. And then a couple of weeks ago, I saw on the eShop, there's a game that's coming out. Guys at PAUG, I think they call. They do loads of like crossword and stuff like that. They've got one called Word Sudoku, and I was like, I didn't know what it was at first. And then basically, it's like 9-letter words. So it's basically replacing letters with numbers. So I don't know if you know, I'm presuming everyone knows how to play Sudoku, but so everyone, you have to fit the 9-letter words in. I was like, that's close enough. That's close enough. And they had a demo, so I downloaded the demo, and it was great. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy that, and I bought it, and I've been playing that a fair bit. And I mean, it's nothing but... This is going to be really short. I did 20 minutes last week, so this is going to be 2 minutes. But basically, it's Sudoku. The one good bonus about this game was that it's got an option in the menu to change the words to numbers. So you can actually... It's just Sudoku. So you can have it as the letters or as the... But it's quite funny. So when you complete one, it'd be like, congratulations, you completed wonderful. And I'm like, oh, is that what the word was going to be, was it? But I'm playing the numbers mode. It's good. It's very good. I love it, but it's only a good version of Sudoku, in all honesty. It's not quite, like I say, it's for me, the gold standard is the brain training versions, where you can kind of write on the screen, and it's great. And if you do little numbers, it adds the little numbers into the box and stuff like that. It was just really intuitive. It's really good. It looked nice and clean. This looks really ugly, really bad design. And it's all with buttons and stuff like that. It's not, you know what I mean? Ultimately, it's not a big deal, and it has some reasonable shortcuts, but ultimately... There's just a couple of 100 puzzles of putting numbers into squares, and it gets it pretty much right, and that's kind of all I've got to say on it. So all I'd say is, if you like Sudoku, this is $6.99. It's quite a lot of money, really, for what it is, but I don't care. Then we've finally got the game on the Switch, and this is going to be my top 10 games of the year. No, it's not really. But it's just really good, having fun. I'm glad it's here, and but it has got kind of numbers on. So if you like it, get it. I mean, that's about it. Greg, what have you been playing?
That sounds like a difficult game to review.
Well, exactly. I don't know how I did it. I should have chatted about Diablo or something, but it sounded good when I thought, I'll chat about that. And then when I started speaking, I was like, struggling already. Go on, Greg.
I've sort of just been indulging my nostalgia a wee bit the last couple of weeks. Obviously, I brought Super Monkey Ball to the table last week, and kind of laid into it, didn't enjoy it at all. So I've been playing games that I know I like this week. So I'm bringing a couple. First one is Super Punch-Out, which I which I downloaded on the 3DS last week because I was on my Nintendo and they had the Wii promotion on it. Now I already have the game on the Wii Virtual Console, and like I have the SNES Classic there, which I still haven't played, but the convenience of it and the discount and stuff to have it on the 3DS, I just thought, right, I'm gonna give it a go because I've never beat the game before. I've got as far, like there's 4 different circuits. There's like a minor, major, can't even remember what the other one's called. Yeah, anyway, there's 4 different circuits, and there's the first 3 circuits really great, absolutely love it. To be honest, like I never played this back in the SNES era, but like having played it on the Wii Virtual Console, it actually became probably one of my favourite SNES games like ever. Absolutely love all the characters and like how the fights take out. It's basically like a puzzle game more than like a boxing game. You're sort of waiting for like your opponent to like do something. They'll maybe like step to the side or like raise their hand or something, and whenever they do that, that'll be followed up with an attack. And the more you play against these people, the more you'll like learn, all right, he's about to do this, so you have to like counter it by either like dodging or ducking, or if you're brave enough, like just standing and blocking it like high or low. And you'll just learn these characters, and they're all great characters, and like they'll all have different things. And you'll have to, basically there's like 4 characters in each circuit, and you'll have to go through all 4 characters to beat that circuit. So you'll fight the first character, you might beat him, and then you maybe come on to the second one, and they'll attack you in a certain way that you're really not expecting, and you'll maybe lose, and you've got a certain amount of lives, but if you lose all your lives, you have to go back to like the start again. So like, I suppose in some ways Lee's game was, you're talking about like the frustration of like, it doesn't really, like Rage in Peace didn't really teach you the mechanics or anything well. Like it sort of, like it was doing one thing and then it was completely ripping the carpet out from underneath you. And this here, at least, like once you learn how a character does his thing, like every time you play it again, like right, you're ready for him next time, you know what he's going to do. That is really fun. But then it gets to like the special circuit at the end, and that one is unlocked if, I think you have to win all 3 of the previous circuits without losing any games or any fights, and that's easy enough because you can go back and do it, and like that's fine. But then the special circuit sort of ramps the difficulty up to an almost like impossible level. I didn't actually find like the characters I was fighting against as interesting as the previous fights, especially the last 2, which is, I think they're 2 brothers or something. I think it's Nick Bruiser and Rick Bruiser. I'm not sure which order they're in, but they're pretty similar in like the way they look and stuff. But on the Wii Virtual Console, I never got as far as that, because the second fight in the special circuit was a fella called Hoy Carlo, and he always brought a stick to a boxing match, which doesn't seem fair. But he would always beat me, and like because he was beating me, I was having to go through the first match against a fella called Narcissus Prince, and like I got to the point where like I sort of like beating him more regularly than not. But even the first fight could be tricky enough at times. So sort of like battling through that, and then I'd get to the second fight and he'd just slaughter me, so I'd have to go through the first fight again, and it was kind of a wee bit frustrating. But playing it on the 3DS, you're able to create restore points. So I've been able to put that just before Hoy Carlo, and then like eventually I did manage to beat him, and that was great for me. Created another restore point, and I'm glad I did, because the last 2 fighters are just a nightmare. It was like to the point where like I was dealing a wee bit of damage, then creating a restore point.
Oh god.
Yeah, like so up to that point I would say it is probably one of my favourite SNES games, and then it just unfortunately it does tail off a wee bit towards the end, but I still do love it, and I would honestly recommend it. I don't know, have you played it before, Lee?
Yeah, love it. It's the Wii one was good as well, but for nostalgia, no, the SNES one it far outstrips my nostalgia for the NES version.
Yeah, I've never really played the NES version, but
the NES version's brilliant.
It's
I know you don't like the NES, but seriously, Punch Out it's like the SNES version, but just with 8-bit graphics. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I might have to give that wee one a go. I would say Super Punch Out is probably my favourite one as well, although I don't think the Wii one was quite as punishing towards the end, because I don't remember having as much difficulty with the later characters. Plus the structure of it was a bit different.
But you know, obviously when you finish the Wii version, you could go back and fight everybody again, but with like little quirks. Mm-hmm. So like Glass Joe had the head guard and stuff like that. Oh, is that the Wii version? The Wii version's probably the best one, but I'm the same as you guys. I think Super Punch Out's the one that put the style of it and everything about it is amazing.
It was like a cartoon at the time as well, wasn't it? It was just the characterizations and animations on the characters were amazing.
Yeah, it still looks absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Like I love how it looks.
Can imagine. Yeah.
Speaking of the Wii one, did you ever defeat Donkey Kong?
No.
I never know.
I was irritated because like I knew that he was an unlockable character or whatever, an unlockable fight, and I sort of got to the point where like I was going to be getting ready to battle him, and for some reason I stopped playing the game, and it's such a hard game just to go back and...
Yeah, you have to always start from the beginning, don't you? Yeah. Build yourself up. Are you tempted by the Punch Out Arcade on the Switch?
I was tempted when it came out, and then I kind of just forgot about it for a while, but having played this one here now, I'm more interested in getting it again, I think, because I love a wee bit of Punch Out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a version that you've probably never played before, and it's hard to play nowadays, and it's good. I've got it. It's really good. Really, really good.
Does it have restore points?
No. Oh yeah, I think it. I think it does. I think the Arcade Archives has them by default. I can check now if you want. I've got my
No,
my old Switch.
It's fine because I don't really like having to sort. I feel like I'm cheating my way through the game, but it was nice. It was nice to finish the game. I'll only talk about the second game briefly because I was setting up. I was sorting stuff out in my wee games room the other day, and I basically always kind of want to set up like a wee unit where I have like an old CRT in it to play like light gun games and Super Scope, which I haven't been able to play for ages. So I'm going to be talking about Super Scope 6 because I've put 6 AA batteries into it for the first time in years, and thankfully
it took 6. That's amazing. I can't remember that. Cool.
Yeah. So thankfully it's still going strong. Game works fine. So set it all up, playing it for the first time, just hearing like the sound effects and stuff. It really did take me back because like this is like, along with Super Soccer, this was the first game me and my brother ever owned because my dad got for Christmas like the big Super Nintendo action pack, it was called, came with a scope and all. I don't dear knows how much money he spent on it. I'm sure it was dear enough back then. But Super Scope 6 is still really satisfying to play. Like I love it. It's like the scope kind of gets a wee bit of a bad rap because like it's not as maybe convenient to play as like the NES Zapper or whatever it would be. And to be honest, when I was younger, closing one of my eyes for a prolonged period of time was like I find it difficult when I was that young. Even now when I'm closing my eyes, it's still a bit uncomfortable after a wee while. But the game sort of like split into 6 different games. Within that, it's like split into 2 different groups. You've got like Blastress and Laser Blazer, it's called. And then Blastress, you've got like a couple of puzzle games kind of, and one called Mole Patrol, where it's basically like whack-a-mole, but you shoot the wee blue moles that come up out of the ground with your scope. And that's really fun. Basically, it's good fun competing for high scores with like my brother or whatever. And the 2 puzzle games, basically there's one, I think it's called Blastress A, and it's kind of like if you take like the Tetris and put it sideways, and you get these wee Tetraminos that come across the screen, and you just like shoot wee pieces off them, so they come across, and you basically just have to make lines Tetris style, and then they disappear. And the other one is probably a wee bit similar to columns in some ways. It's just like wee coloured blocks come down from the sky, and you like if you shoot them, like you can change the colour of the blocks, or there's some you can't change colour. But again, it's just like making wee like combinations just to make them disappear. But then the other half of the game is probably like my favourite half. The Laser Blazer half that's split into 3 games. There's like Intercept, which is these like rockets or like missiles going across the screen, and they're all like different distances away, so you have to like shoot slightly in front of where the missile's going across just to be able to like connect it and like basically intercept it. Absolutely loved that. I think that was probably the one that me and my brother would have played most when we were younger.
Yeah, same here. I remember that one vividly. I can't remember the Tetris one though, or the columns one. I can't remember playing.
I remember that. Yeah.
The Intercept one, that was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And occasionally you'll get like Mario will be getting chased across the screen with, I think it's Lemmy Koopa maybe, sort of chase after him. You shoot him, you get if you miss a missile, there'll be a wee counter go up. I think if you miss 5 in total, it's game over. So I think if you shoot Lemmy, you'll gain one of your lives back. And the other 2 games in that, there's one called Engage and the other one's Confront. And one of them I haven't been back to yet, but I do remember it from when I was younger. It's one that I couldn't really get on with. I think you're basically like flying along, and there's these I think you're flying behind other like aircrafts or whatever, and they're like shooting missiles back at you. I always find that one really difficult. I never really gave it that much time. I'm kind of actually looking forward to trying it out now to see if I'm any better at it. And then the other one's basically just like enemies flying in towards you, and again you're sort of like judging the distances and stuff and trying to take them all down before they're able to attack you. But I actually am really glad I've been able to play it again. And
cool.
Absolutely love
Sounds
it.
fun. Sounds good.
Did you ever have the Yoshi one? Is it Yoshi? I can't remember what it was called. Yoshi. You're riding on the back of Yoshi.
Safari.
Yoshi Safari. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never played it, and at the risk of spoiling next week's, I've actually ordered it. I'm gonna.
Nice.
So I thought it might have arrived today, but it hasn't. But hopefully next week I'll be able to discuss that one a wee bit.
Did any of you play the Wii game? We chatted about them actually, Lee, when Greg wasn't here. But the Wii games, when they were Duck Hunt and Gumshoe with the remote pointer. Did you play them?
I played Duck Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, Duck Hunt I played, and then I mistook that for Gunsmoke. Yeah.
Yeah. I quite liked them. What I was going to say was, how do you feel these would work, say, with using the Joy-Con kind of motion sensing? Do you think the scope itself adds so much to it and it's kind of pointless porting it, or would you think it'd be quite cool as a $5.99 download or whatever?
I think if you're putting a pointer on the screen, you're kind of probably ruining it. But remember before the Wii U came out, and we all seen like they had like the zapper type thing, and they had like the Wii U gamepad like slid into the zapper. I kind of always thought that could have been a way to make the scope games work, because you could have made it like that's your viewpoint, like you're looking through your
crosshair. Yeah,
basically.
There was loads. I had a few peripherals like that on the Wii for like House of Dead and stuff like that, where and you could sort of like recalibrate it. So if you look down the sight, so then it kind of then works pretty well.
Yeah.
To kind of get the accuracy right. But
if they were somehow going to do it on the Switch, I think they would maybe need some sort of peripheral. Even if it's just like a plastic shell to give you something to look down and calibrate in some sort of way.
Yeah, who knows? But awesome, that's great. So now we're going to get onto the listener question. Okay, so Aaron Thomas has asked a question. I don't know if you heard, obviously we chatted about it last week about the Dead or Alive Extreme game we chatted about. And he said, what do you guys think about censorship in gaming with the recent revelation that Sony is... I did not know this. Sony is censoring everything, including Dead or Alive Extreme 3. What does everything mean?
There's a lot of Vita games coming out of Japan now, and even in Japan, Sony have started censoring them. Those kind of ecchi, just like the Dead or Alive, lots of boobs, lots of bums, and then they've covered over bikinis with t-shirts or whatever. Sony have taken a stance that would have been in place with what Nintendo used to do, and then all of a sudden it's just reversed. Nintendo
are like, bring it on.
Yeah, just drop it on you, whatever it is.
It's a good question. That is a good question. So, because you're right, because previously it would be the other way around. So, Greg, what are your views on this?
I don't know. Censorship is obviously important, but it's just, for some reason, it almost seems like it's different in like games than it would be in like films and stuff. Because like, if you're looking for film and stuff, obviously you can go to like more mature adult content or whatever, and there's like rated whatever. Obviously games have ratings as well, but there still seems to be like people would look on it like games are still for kids even now, and obviously kids and stuff are still playing things that are like well above their target age range. Stuff that even like Call of Duty and stuff, like all the kids playing that, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like parents still, kind of ignorant to it. The parents who are ignorant to it, not generally parents who are ignorant to it, but the parents who are ignorant to it, they sort of don't, like you said, they still sort of feel games are for young people, and they sort of let them play games they shouldn't.
Yep.
And then there'll be stuff like, they're playing like Grand Theft Auto. It's like, well, don't let them.
Yeah.
It's not for them. It's an 18 game. You wouldn't let them watch this 18 film, would you? Why are you letting them play this game?
Yeah. Exactly, so that's
ridiculous.
why like censorship, you're talking about Dead or Alive Extreme, I still haven't even looked that up or whatever, but like if that's got its target audience, whatever that may be,
problem is it is 12-year-old boys.
If it's got an age rating of certain whatever, like
I believe it's a 16, that one in particular.
But like if it has stuff in it that is like what would be considered appropriate for that age group to view, is there a need to censor it?
That's it. Surely the age rating system is doing the job of censorship in itself. I just see art as art, and I've always said the creators made this particular game.
I don't know if I've got Dead or Alive Extreme 3 art, but
it's somebody's art. The creator said, this is the game I want to make. I put it out there. Give me an age rating. If the age rating is too high, I'll censor it myself to get it to whatever audience I need to see this. The same in movies. It is those parents, isn't it?
Yeah, and like Darren, you and me have like we both complain about Bayonetta just being like the story being trash and just the over sexualization and stuff. Like, I wouldn't mind if they censored that whole thing out, but
this is like my kind of stance. But go on.
Aye, but like that's like a creative vision of whoever's creating that game, like Platinum. Like, I may not like it, but they're obviously doing it for a different audience.
Yeah, it's like, personally, censor it, because it kind of makes me not in a prudish way, may I add, not in a prudish way, but just in again, I find it embarrassing. I look at stuff like that in the moments of Bayonetta. I was like, how does anybody? You say it's Ahab, but I was like, really, what are you doing? What is this? It's like. And when I say is it necessary, I don't mean it in a kind of I don't approve. I'm the kind of opposite. Literally, I don't believe in. I'm almost don't believe in censorship unless you're kind of ethically or morally kind of hurting people. I don't believe in any censorship to an extent. So I don't believe in censoring it. I think it's ridiculous. But at the same time, on a different level, I do look at stuff like The Dead or Alive and Bayonetta. And I was like, really? Why? It's like censoring it. In a bit, it's like good. Because it's just pathetic. It's just so embarrassing. It's just like, but ultimately they shouldn't do it. Like you say, if that's the game they wanted to make, rate it accordingly, and everything should be fine. So I don't know what Sony are doing. I mean, there is a thing, is in a sense that it's not just about that. It's like, because in some regards, it's like games have it harder than films. If you have a game, like you think of something like Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers would probably be rated teen. And if that was a cartoon or a film,
yeah, you're right.
It'd be like a PG. It would be
There's a difference between watching it and actually pressing a button and doing it, though. You're committing to the violence in a game, aren't you? Well,
I don't know. I think games are unfairly categorized. I think they're always slightly over the top to what I feel as if they should be.
But that's good in a way, because then you know what you're getting into. If a game is rated 18, it's there for a reason, and it's up to the parents to be policing this.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that is the kind of bottom line of it, is that parents need to do a better job. But the only difference I'd say with, like, if you take this story in particular, I can sort of understand it, is that when it comes to films, there's sort of no platform that is getting sort of tarnished with it. So what I mean is that Sony's censoring it. Maybe they're thinking of their own brand and their own platform and saying, you know what, we didn't want to be associated with that kind of content. So if you want it on here, then you're going to have to... I can sort of understand that, because the way the gaming industry works, that they're protecting their platform and how that is portrayed, because people will see it as almost not a Sony game almost, or the PlayStation 4 game, or the... And Nintendo have made a career out of it, of having family-friendly content. This is why this is quite surprising. And they've rejected stuff, obviously Mortal Kombat famously, and stuff like that. And they didn't want, like, Binding of Isaac. I don't know if you remember this, but they didn't want Binding of Isaac because of the religious connotations and stuff. So and although I don't agree with it, and sometimes I think it's a bit pathetic, I can sort of understand that if you're trying to create your own atmosphere around your brand, then maybe you would want to kind of do that. It's a tricky one.
And the eShop as well always intrigues me, because you can watch any video on the eShop as long as you can get into the eShop. The eShop then isn't censored. So yes, as a parent, you can put your child locks on there and say, you can't open the eShop. But once the eShop's open, surely you've got access to everything. So your kid could be looking at Senran Kagura, that groping game, and all the other 18 rated videos and stuff on there.
Do you know that for sure?
No, I don't. I was kind of throwing it out there as a kind of question to you. So that would be a concern if that happened.
Yeah. Kind of in some regards defeats some of the point of the kind of parental locks.
Yeah,
I don't know. Ultimately, I don't believe in censorship, but when it comes to this game, I don't care.
Have you played anything that you would consider that has maybe been ruined because of censorship?
Oh, good question.
What do you mean? It's been ruined because of censorship.
Ruined.
Ruined. Sorry.
Like people.
It's your accent.
One of the more like famous examples would obviously be like Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo. It had the blood removed, and people say, "Oh, it's rubbish because it doesn't have the blood in it."
In some regards, I kind of agree with that.
To be fair, the game is rubbish anyway. But people, seem to love the Mega Drive version, but like
that was the point of Mortal Kombat,
to see wee bits of red stuff.
Yeah, I think it was. It was, in all honesty. It was really shocking. It was violent, and it was like blood, and it was different to Street Fighter.
Rip someone's head off and pull his spine out.
Yeah. That's what was exciting about it. You take that away. I'm not saying you have to agree like it, but that's what was the point of it. To take that away was stupid. I mean, I bought it on the SNES, but and I still liked it. But I think it did ruin it. It made it a worse product.
See, related to that in a way, No More Heroes on the Wii, the first one didn't have blood in it. I think it was just like a big sort of like black puff or something, I think, came out. That didn't disrupt my enjoyment of the game whatsoever. Like,
Me neither.
The gameplay was fun, so the fact that there wasn't a big red burst of stuff coming out of the enemies, it didn't really seem to detract from the game at all.
No, I think it's just about the kind of... but then you think of a game like Mad World on the Wii. If that wasn't violent, then that would have been... Because that was the kind of, again, the point of it, all those kind of torture devices and all that kind of... The violence and stuff. I think it depends on case by case. But I think it can. I think it could. But the only example I can think of is Mortal Kombat on the SNES. But then I probably don't know about lots of censorship, to be honest. There might be stuff that we've got no idea. How do you feel about... do you think it'll make Smash Brothers worse that Mr. Game & Watch doesn't have the Indian feather?
They've censored... To go on further, they've censored Mithra from... Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as well. She's not showing her cleavage anymore, so they covered that up with a fetching top which matches her bra, and they've covered her legs over with the black stockings.
Didn't they do that for X as well on the builder, the character builder? Like they removed kind of
the
sizes of certain anatomy. Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Again, it's one of those ones where I sort of don't believe in censorship, but at the same time, it's like, they shouldn't have had that in there in the first place. That's what I think. I was like, don't put it... Why put it in? It's not... what... But whatever. But they did put it in, so they probably shouldn't have taken it out, I guess, is where I think. I just think artistically and sort of like, kind of what brain kind of watches stuff like that and gets really upset about, I can't play this anime character with really large boobs anymore. I don't know. It's a fascinating subject, and it is weird that Sony and Nintendo have completely sort of switched roles on that. Yeah, has anybody got any more thoughts, or shall we move on to the topic of the week?
I was going to say about Nazism in Wolfenstein 2, but I leave that. Germany...
What did that get...
Yeah, Germany...
You didn't get cut though, did it?
Yeah, Germany didn't blur it out. The Nazi symbol, which is obviously the inverse of the Taoist Buddhism symbol, it got changed into a symbol, not similar, but it changed into a different symbol. Nazi symbols are banned in Germany. I think recently they've overturned that, and they can actually see a Nazi symbol now. That's another kind of censorship, which is kind of, so I know people get angry about it, and what terrible, terrible people. But what better way to know how terrible people they are than to show us it?
Of them.
Yeah, keep reminding us. Look how nasty Hitler was, and show us it, and then we'll remember.
So when people pull down statues of kind of slave traders who were kind of had statues made, and now we go, you know what? They own slaves. Let's pull them down. I was like, let's not kind of eradicate these people from history. Let's remind ourselves of these kind of people in history.
Talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I do agree with them not putting... Because you don't want to offend people for no reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I do agree with taking the feather out of Mr. Game & Watch, but I wouldn't agree with changing the original game that it was based on. There's no point bringing it back for no reason, but we shouldn't take it away from the original. We should, if it was ever redone, don't take it out, because that's history. That's the way it was. And it's the same when you can have like TV shows and cartoons from the 60s and 70s, and the humour's very sexist and racist, and some of them are taking it out, and it's like, don't, because that's a product of a time that we can't pretend it didn't happen. It did happen. It's not good, but we're looking at it through a different lens. We're not stupid. And but then there's some, like, I don't know if you've seen like the Betty Boop cartoons. At the beginning, it says they're really horrific. To be honest, they're pretty extreme. But they've re-released them and they've kept them as they were. But at the beginning, they've just said, "Look, these were made all these years ago. It was a different time. Kind of the kind of our attitudes to kind of gender and race and things were very different. But these are the cartoons they were. That is perfect. Sort of like saying, you know what, we realise that these aren't quite appropriate today, but these are the are. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Don't eradicate. Rewrite history. That's very serious from Jiggly Boobs and Dead or Alive to. But let's get on to something a little bit more gamey. In topic of the week. So this week's topic is It's quite a nice topic. I like it. It's what things about games do you love? Pretty vague and broad.
Jiggly boobs.
Okay, done. That's good. See you next week, guys. So, Greg, you're notoriously you almost play a character of hating everything. So I want you to start. What is it about games that you love? And it can be interpreted in two ways, actually. Like, what is it about gaming and games that you love? And what is it specifically about aspects of games that you love?
Well, firstly, I'm offended that you think my hatred of everything is somehow characterised.
No, what I'm saying is you kind of surely you play it a little bit. You know, you kind of play the humour of kind of slagging everything off. surely.
100% genuine. I was actually going to suggest that either you guys go first, because I've been looking at this question, like, it's been sort of in the notes for a few weeks now, and I still don't feel like I have an answer for the question. And I'm kind of interested to see what you guys say, because chances are I'll be able to play off that in some way. It's much easier to pick out things in games that just drive you nuts.
Well, yeah, that's true. Lee, I mean, I've got an answer for it, but Lee, do you want to go first? Or?
I haven't got many answers, but well, apart from like well-constructed levels, of course, and perfect learning curves and difficulty curves and well-paced gaming and like Reg in Peace. 3D Mario games do this with aplomb, and that kind of thing I do love. I love the variety of gaming styles throughout genres, and even within a single genre, the kind of styles and varieties that you can get with different games. Smash is completely different from a Street Fighter game. I love the variety of different games. But my biggest thing is I have a rare genetic bone disease which affects my central nervous system as well, so I get these tinges of pain all the time. So anything that takes me away into another place and makes me forget about that wins my enthusiasm, and games do it very frequently.
How often do you get the pain?
All the time.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. It's a bit...
Right now.
Oh really? Is it just like a constant sort of...
It's like a friend.
That's a good way of wording it. So basically, pain distraction is the thing you love most about games.
Any kind of thing as well. A good movie, when you're watching a bad movie and you're like, oh no, my back is hurting, no, I can't do it. And then when you watch a good movie, even when I'm working, it just takes you away from, on a good lesson, and everything's going well, and the kids are doing this, and everything's going. I'm exercising in class as well, because we kind of like clowns over here and jumping in front of the kids and performing. Anything that takes you away from that back pain, great stuff. And games does it frequently.
Awesome. For me, I wasn't even thinking about specific bits of games in a way, just because there's just so many. You speak forever about the kind of the tiniest moments and stuff like that. All I will say is that there's something about, and obviously that's why we do this podcast, but there's something about Nintendo's games in particular, which is what I love about games. They kind of represent what I love about games. From the kind of graphical style of it, the kind of ingenuity and the creativity within the games. So they kind of, as a company, companies like that, they represent what I love about gaming. But the way I was wording it is almost like, what do I love about games? Sort of like where you went, I guess, Lee, in a sense of what I love about it is, and again, it's sort of a similar thing. The biggest thing I love about it is that it's like a lot of my life is like geared towards my career. So I work in sort of video production and stuff. So, and it consumed a lot of my 20s in terms of how much I'd work. I love films, but when I watch films, I'm constantly thinking about how the films are made and thinking about the films that I'm working on. And so it's constantly thinking about work. Even when I'm reading, I genuinely read books, which are either reference books to something I'm writing a script on, or production aspects, or about film. In some ways, again, it's about work. It's like my life sort of consumed by work and my career. And gaming is the one thing, and obviously running my own business is a kind of a stressful thing as well, because I employ people, and every month I've got to pay people's wages, and they've got families, and so it's in some regards like I'm constantly thinking about that. It's always difficult to kind of run small businesses, but gaming is my way of just not thinking about anything. It's my one thing where I don't play a game and think about writing scripts or making games or filmmaking or my work or my life, and it's that and football are the two things. But gaming is the one thing where I can just play it and I can just not think about anything, and I don't have to worry about anything, and it's got nothing to do with anything in my life. I could just do it, enjoy it, and kind of not stress. I don't get stressed about life, to be honest. I'm pretty easygoing, but it's just my way of kind of escaping the world. I mean, I love it as well on many aspects, but the thing that I love about it the most is the fact that it's just my thing that I can do, which has got nothing to do with anything else in my life, and I love it for that. And on Sudoku as well, obviously. Digital Sudoku.
Good answer.
What about you, Greg?
Well, I suppose like growing up, games were great for like bringing like friends together and playing multiplayer games together, or even like if you're playing like the same single player game as like a friend or whatever, it would have been great like coming in the next day or whatever and being able to say, oh, where did you get to, like, oh, have you done this here, oh, wait till you see this here, it's so cool. So like that like social aspect was obviously really cool, and like I suppose that's kind of dampened a wee bit in some ways because of like online playing stuff these days. I mean, obviously online makes it easier to play with people, I guess, but you kind of miss that social aspect in a way. On a more like sort of like simple level, you'll get some like platform games and stuff, and like you maybe talk about the new Super Mario Brothers games or whatever, and people will complain and say, oh, it just looks the same, like, oh, just the typical variety. You've got your grass levels, your deserts, your snow levels or whatever. I love a good snow level. There's nothing that fills me with more joy than a good snow level. Like, you talk about like Freeze Easy Peak and Banjo-Kazooie, one of the greats, or like Gorilla Glacier and Donkey Kong Country. Just if you nail a snow level, you've got my heart. That's pretty much where I'm at. It's
basically social gaming with your friends and snow levels.
Yeah.
the other thing I'd add actually is I agree completely with the kind of social aspect. Like, I still have the gaming weekends occasionally, and they're all it's just amazing because it's so rare. It used to be like every other night when I was at school with my mates. Now it's just every few months, and it is amazing to sit in the same room, have some drinks and some food, and just play loads of multiplayer games. And it's so rare. It's annoyingly rare. Like Smash Brothers is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's like, I wish I could just get a group of people for a weekend and just forget that I've got kids and stuff like that, and just play Smash all weekend. Like I played GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and Time Splitters 2 or whatever, and Mario Kart, and so I do miss that. But one thing that's amazing now, and I'm only just beginning it, but it is playing with Hugo, playing with my kid. The stuff that we do. Absolutely love playing games with him and showing him games and him getting passionate about games and enjoying games, and that's only going to grow, I presume, unless he hates them as he gets older. But I'm absolutely loving it, and I know I'm going to love it more when he's a bit older.
Yeah, to be honest, it's probably like something that me and my brother like probably continue to bond over as well. If you're looking at like TV, music or whatever, like we don't really share many of the same like interests in that regard. Like our tastes would be really different, and I suppose like our tastes in games are like generally quite different as well. But like recently, in particular since the Switch came out, he's been really getting back into Nintendo again. So like being a big Nintendo fan myself, like we're just finding like lots more crossover in that way. A lot of the games I'm getting, like Mario Karts and like Mario Odyssey and stuff, like he's got them as well. Mario Odyssey was like probably one of the first games he's completed in years and years, and it was something that we were able to talk about. We were able to like, I'm able to give him like advice on like where like certain moons are and stuff, and that's another thing about games, just good to bond over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, awesome. Right, that was good ending topic. I liked that. And as always, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Oh yeah, bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nintendo Review Podcast. You can find this very podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and YouTube. Just search for the Nintendo Review Podcast. Don't forget to give us a review and ask us a question. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where you'll find great content such as news, reviews, and streams. Of course, you'll find us at nintendoreview.co.uk. And check out our Nintendo Review Discord channel for lively discussion, meetups, and in-game voice chat. Drop by and say hello. Podcast Extras! Podcast Extras!
Oos.
I know, usually I have some sort of like preparation done for at least something. Not today.
Just testing my sound level. Level. Okay.
Oos.
Yeah, mine's good. Well,
I can't remember what I was on about now. Oos. Right, Greg's died. Sorry about that. Ask the one question.
can I pause there 2 seconds, because I'm slightly concerned about my microphone again. When you hear me, it's always bad quality anyway. So
Crack on ahead, and I'll see you in the editing.
Oos.
I'm good to go.
sorry for killing the flow.
Damn it. Oh, unbelievable.
Sorry, guys. I'm just getting distracted. Cut this out, Lee. Oos.
We've lost Lee's audio, have we?
Can't hear you, Lee. But Lee, sort your life out.
Will we give him some extras material while we wait?
I plugged the microphone into a different USB and it's knackered. Okay, let's go for it. Claps again, boys.
Editing nightmare.
Oh, what a...
Are you okay, Darren?
Guys, I just need a piss. Is that alright?
That's going in the podcast extras.
Oos.
What's Christmas like over there in Taiwan? Did we?
Non-existent.
Who's Aaron Thomas?
My brother. He didn't actually come up with this question.
Jiggly boobs.
Oos.
I gotta be quick as well, boys. I'll cut this part out. My wife is going, I'm going to bed. So I'll be brief. Sorry.
Jiggly boobs.
Oos.
Jiggly boobs.
Oos.